Pennsylvania.
Let's talk live now to the former special assistant to Donald Trump, Andrew Giuliani. Andrew, welcome here to BBC News. I was watching one former Secret Service agent saying the former president was within a hair's breadth of disaster. Has it sunk into you what we saw over 36 hours ago?
I don't even think it has yet. And when you think about this, in my time in the White House, I've seen so many different plans of different events that the president would go to, whether it's speeches, whether it's football games, whether it's other college graduations, whatever it is. And the Secret Service generally looks at high targets a mile, mile and a half, even 2 miles away. So you're talking up to like 3 kilometers away. The fact that you had a gunman that was 125 meters away from the president there, that's 30 times closer than the longest shots that have ever been made. That's completely unacceptable, and we need to get real answers from the Secret Service, from local PD, from the FBI, from the Department of Homeland Security about that. But, you know, I spoke to President Trump yesterday briefly, and he amazingly is able to process this so well. He was talking about the victim's family, Corey's family, how his heart broke for them. He was talking about those that are fighting for their lives in critical condition. And then he started talking about this vice presidential pick and what this week is going to look like, what this acceptance speech is going to look like. So he's really able to compartmentalize this better than anybody I've ever seen.
Interesting, you recounting what the former president had said to you, because he talked to journalists on the plane and he was really crystal clear in his mind that he thinks I'm supposed to be dead. That's the quote he used.
Yeah, I think that realization has hit him. I think it's amazing when you think that if we're talking about a millimeter or two, and if that bullet is just a little bit further to the right, then you and I are having a very, very different conversation right now. And I can't imagine what that's like. I can't imagine what that's like for the United States of America. I can't imagine what that's like for his family in those moments waiting to find out. As somebody who's been at, call it, over 100 rallies, as a spectator, as a staffer, as a speaker at these rallies, I can tell you that it had to have been madness and chaos in those moments. And I was trying to reach out to anybody that I knew who was there, who was staffing him, knowing that they were hiding for cover or trying to save the president in that moment. And I think probably when something like that happens, a brush with death that's that close, you probably get a certain amount of clarity of purpose. And yes. I think that's probably what President Trump has probably experienced now.
I'll come on to the ramifications in a moment, but you were talking about the questions that need to be answered. We were reporting what the Reuters news agency is citing to NBC. These reports, I don't know if you've seen them, that the rooftop where the gunman shot at Donald Trump was identified as a security vulnerability before the rally. Now, if that turns out to be true, it is one of the absolutely central questions that, as that Congressional Oversight Committee says, Americans demand answers.
Absolutely. And like I said, having sat through the plans of hundreds of these events, that absolutely would have been identified and that building would have been sterilized. And I don't care if that building would have been inside of the security perimeter, as people have pointed out, or outside of the security perimeter. Because one of the first things that Secret Service does when they set up the internal security perimeter is they start looking at high points outside of that security perimeter. And I can tell you there have been times where I've been at events where they've sterilized buildings, they've shut down buildings that were over a mile away on the other side of highways from where the president was going to be speaking or going to be attending an event, or they've put up bulletproof glass. So the fact that he got within, like I said, 125 meters, and then you can also see the eyewitness video pointing out to local PD for 2-3 minutes that you had a gunman up there. We have major questions that need to be answered. And these questions have ramifications, by the way, not just for Donald Trump and the Trump campaign, but also for the Biden campaign, for the public events they're going to be doing, for the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. campaign, and for other candidates as well. If we want our First Amendment to be practiced here in the United States of America, then we need to make sure that the public square is safe, so that way we can have vigorous debate that we need to have in order to choose our best.
This cuts across all parties, all candidates. Let me try to ask you about what you think the discourse will be like in America going forward, because I read the veteran Republican Congressman Pete Sessions saying after these events that I think Donald Trump, he should be for the fix, not the fight. And of course, that was the word we saw used in the split seconds afterwards from Donald Trump as he punched the air with his fist. He said, fight, fight twice. How important is the tone and the words that Donald Trump uses when he finally addresses those crowds there in Milwaukee?
Well, I think the tone and the words are very important. I think Joe Biden deserves the same question. How could he, 5 days before Donald Trump was shot, say it's time to put Donald Trump in the bullseye? Had the roles been reversed in that scenario, I think you would have had people yelling that Donald Trump incited an assassination attempt. So I think Joe Biden deserves the exact same questions and thorough
Sure, but it sort of cuts both ways. I'm not going to go through all the different things that Donald Trump and Republicans have said, because the point has been made many times in the last 36 hours. But do you think it is realistic, even if the principal two candidates dial it down, do you think the surrogates, the others, as we progress through this campaign, will actually heed what people are currently saying?
Yeah, I think so. But here's the thing. I don't want to use the word unity and replace that for ignorance. We need to come to answers here, and then that's how we can unify here. Answers first. What happened? What went wrong? Let's get to the bottom of this. Let's protect this. And then you can actually have calls to unify. But like you said, this has to go both ways. And I've seen the media scrutiny on Donald Trump over the last 3.5 years. I haven't seen that be equal on Joe Biden.